Hey, welcome everyone back to another episode of Neurodivergent Connections. My name is Greg Fuqua. I'm here with Scott Simpson and Mona Kay, my hosts, who I'll let them introduce themselves in a second. We've got a great topic today to talk about, and it's going to be all about special interests. The good, the bad, the great, the ugly, the problematics around it, the what, why, and hows, the special interest. I'm Greg Fuqua. I'm a counselor, coach, consultant who works with neurodivergent individuals and neurodiverse couples. Been in a 34-year, I had to do the math on that by but made it easier because I just had my anniversary. 34 years with my wonderful ADHD wife. Glad to be here as always. Mona Kay, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mona Kay. I'm a social worker. I've been a social worker for almost 40 years and was married to my ex-husband for 30 years. We were together for 32. Didn't find out until our 29th year of marriage that we were a neurodiverse couple. I identify as ADHD, late identification, and I am the host of the Neurodiverse Love podcast, have the Neurodiverse Love conversation cards, workbook, and have done 2 Neurodiverse Love conferences, one in 2023 and one in 2025. And Greg was a presenter at the one in 2025. And Scott and Greg have been on my podcast. Yay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
both
you
of you.
want to talk about any upcoming things?
And upcoming, there's going to be a Neurodiverse Love docu-series that I am working on right now. So it was going to be a documentary. It's now going to be a series. And so look for more information on my website, neurodiverselove.com. Yay. Yeah.
Thanks, Mona. Hey, Scott.
Howdy, Greg. I'm Scott Simpson. I just turned 52. And for most of my life, I had no idea that what was going on with me was autism or ADHD or ADHD, as some of us call it. I just thought I was a weird gifted guy. But life put up a lot of challenges. I had a difficult marriage that ended with her death by cancer, leaving me a solo parent. I've been in a surprisingly healthy in the past few years relationship with somebody else now for the past 7, 8, 9, I don't know, 7, let's say 7 years. And my kid is doing great. And I've had a lot of special interests, as you can probably guess by the amount of clutter and variety of junk around my room.
Thank you, guys. So getting to the topic, also want to reach out to our audience. And if you have a special interest, have had issues with a special interest, or have a particular interesting special interest, of course you do, and what's your relationship with it? Put it down in the comments. Let us know your own experience with special interest. We'd like to know. We'd love to hear from you too. So join us in the discussion, so to speak. Hey, in honor of one of my special interests, I'm wearing a shirt that represents probably the best disc golf course I've ever played, which is this mountain course this guy made off his private property. He has 2 of them. They're amazing courses, world-ranked courses, absolutely beautiful. One of my special interests, disc golf.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know.
It kind of borders on the line of, obsession. People do tease me about it a lot, One of the last times I saw my brother, he's like, Greg, and we've got a half hour. You want to go out and play some disc golf? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, I'm just kidding.
Oh no! What a tease!
I know. I was full in. I was like, absolutely, what a dream playing disc golf with my brother. But anyhow, so where should we start, guys? What's been your experience with special interests and how they've impacted you and your relationships?
So I'm going to give you the definition of the non-autistic idea of a special interest and how it impacted my marriage, right? So my ex had a few. I do believe in a lot of neurodiverse relationships, the partner in the beginning of the relationship becomes a special interest. So I think it's something you're really passionate about, and you would, if you could not sleep and eat or have any contact with other human beings, you might just do that all the time. And if you didn't have to, hold a job or even go to the bathroom or whatever, I see that over and over again, right? So that's, I think, where it causes some challenges if you're in a romantic relationship or a family where you have responsibilities. But I love talking with my partner about their special interests because the depth of knowledge, the breadth of knowledge, the passion to me is a turn on, right? And anybody that has that kind of passion about something or several special interests, to me, that's like, oh my gosh, your life is beautiful and wonderful. Where it gets to be a challenge is when you cannot communicate about anything else. You can't transition out of doing the special interest. And then I also see with some couples, the special interest becomes something that's not healthy, right? So it could be the special interest could be porn, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol. You can go deep with those things and they become part of your life too. And that's where I think we need to take a step back and maybe seek help and find healthier special interests. I also think it can become a challenge when the transition into another aspect of the person's life, they become very angry. And I've seen this happen over and over again. How come I have to leave my special interest? Because it brings me so much joy and it brings me so much peace and I feel so regulated when I'm doing it. So these are just some of the things that I have heard couples say and I experienced in my own marriage.
Wonderful points. Scott, any thoughts?
A couple of things. Monotropism plays into it to me a lot. This notion that we tend to want to narrow things down to one channel. We tend to want to be zoomed in and look at one space. And that brings us a lot of joy when we can get in close and explore things the way we want to our satisfaction. The downside of being that zoomed in is if you've ever tried to videotape something through a camera that's zoomed all the way in, you know that looking for anything other than the thing you're focusing on is a lot of effort because you're like, where is it? And I have to hold it steady. Did it move? Is it out of focus? Like, just keep me here and I'm happy. And I keep trying to get back here.
Great analogy.
Things are pulling me away. The kids, the cat, YouTube, the stove, things are trying to pull me away. And I'm like, it is going to be such an inconvenience to come back to this point and find it and get to this level of just single channel input that I resent being drawn away from that. Now I can move this if I want to. I can move this little Zoom box to something else and be zoomed in on that. But this one's always calling me back, right? It's calling me back. I want there. So that's how I've experienced it a lot. And I like being in that spot where I have this cloud of knowledge that I have gathered and I carry it around and I can just pull things out of it and say, did you know? Would you like to know about this? This is how this relates to that too. And I can view this through that. It's fun. I can see now in hindsight across my life how tiring it must have been for everybody else and how it seemed like I must have been mad when I find something new I'm excited to talk about. Because I'll go all in and I'll just be like, oh, somebody brought this up. Maybe me, I did. And let's talk. Did you know that Scientology does this to its members when they first come in? And that's how they set this up. And they made up new words for it too. It's like, yes, we're having a dinner party. We don't need to know this. But I keep going back there. And it's probably embarrassing for people who don't understand. Well, it's probably embarrassing even if they do understand it sometimes. It can seem disruptive. It just seems strange. It doesn't seem strange to like other autistic people because one, I see them doing it. I'm on chats in TikTok with people and there's just a whole bunch of people chatting. Somebody's having like a really deep moment where they're just breaking down and crying. And then somebody will pop in and go, did you know that I found out my favorite band recorded their second album in the Himalayas? And I'm like, I can tell it's not the time, but I also am not mad at them because I know exactly what's happening with them. They just want that little bit. Everything hurts right now. Can I tell you about the thing I love? It's a moment of connection for them. To everybody else, it's like, not now, right? So I've had special interests be something that can draw people in. I love to share my passion because interested is interesting. We'll talk later about maybe some times in my life where this has helped save me. It has, like, my special interests have been the only thing that kept me afloat. And there have been other times where my special interest was read wrong as being perhaps an addiction or a personality issue or something that I needed to be in treatment for 30 years for. So everything Mona said, spot on.
Yeah.
Because it reads as weird to a partner, I'm sure. As an autistic guy, as soon as I heard that special interests were a thing, I was like, crap, I've got some. Because when I first heard it, was like, oh, they collect things. And I was like, I don't think I collect things. I mean, all those books about trains on my shelf are not a collection, surely. And all the Pac-Man stuff, I don't even like. I don't like the game Pac-Man, right? Like, just the fact that I have 7 different ones of them doesn't mean I'm a collector. That's for other people. No, I have interests. So, without medicalizing and pathologizing it too much, I think we can have a good talk about this today, Greg.
Yeah, I really appreciate your perspective on that. And I think you both are getting at a couple really important things. When I get to the first tee on a disc golf course, I can feel my whole system calming down. It's like, vroom. I can feel my blood pressure go down. I can feel my nervous system getting, steady, getting open, getting really connected, just tons of good feels, chemicals going on. And so this is an important coping mechanism that can also turn into an unhealthy thing. Okay. So if we don't have, well, let's face it, autistics in particular are managing their nervous system regulation all the time, whether they know it or not. And then the special interest becomes that thing that they can reconnect with themselves, right? And suddenly there's a match in the world for them. Meaning my interest, who I am. And so it's even an identity thing. Who I am is now matched up in the world. And for neurodivergence, there's a constant mismatch going on with our internal world and how the external world operates. And now I have something where the match is complete. I know all the ins and outs. I have a sense of belonging, security, and through that self-worth. And it regulates my nervous system. So think about the power of something like that, right? And also think about the temptation.
Yeah, it's enormous. Yeah.
And the temptation of it, too, is also tricky. So here's the thing. If your special interest is the only way you know how to regulate yourself, you're in trouble. Okay? Why? That's when it becomes the addiction. That's when it becomes the crutch. That's when it becomes the hypersexuality, the porn, the drugs. I also don't think it should become your work. Okay? Why? Because you will become a workaholic. It will be the only thing, as Scott says, right? And everything else will suffer in your life. And collecting, so people also, I think it's dangerous. Now, you could have a special interest around women of color, let's say, or, the Inuit, let's say, but a specific person or persons that a small amount of people that are alive are dangerous. Also, sharing your special interest, as wonderful as that feels, also has some danger with it. Okay. And as Scott sort of pointed out this, what if it reinforces the fact that we don't fit in suddenly? Guess what we're going to do? Go back to the special interest even more, right?
Possibly shamefully.
Right. And think, oh, this is the only thing I had because people don't understand this, right? Now, when people share it with you, it's a wonderful tool for social connection and finding your tribe, through disc golf, through cycling, and also one of mine is music and playing music, listening to music. The disc golf and the cycling are social outlets for me because I do them with other people. And we both share that passion, and that feels amazing when my wife plays disc golf with me, I'm like in heaven. But for some reason, it also ruins my performance. I don't know why. I've got to figure that one out because my
Yeah.
wife's like, "Do you just play awful with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So that's it. Suddenly, I start trying too hard,
Yeah, she
and
makes you nervous, I'll
yeah,
bet.
she's infiltrated my world.
Yeah.
That I want to share with her so much and about how great it is, and then it falls apart, and then my trying too hard parts kind of show up. But um, and so there is these also additional benefits, these social benefits that we can get from them, and the danger. So again, work life. Don't make your special interest your work life. You need something outside your work life that you can recover from your work from. You can become an expert in your work, but it shouldn't be your only thing. Okay. And then there's some things I protect
Mm.
that are only for me. Okay. And one of those is my music. Okay. I'm not going to play music for you. Okay. Why? I do not want it corrupted by you outsiders.
Interesting.
And let me tell you, my special interest used to be art making,
Mhm.
and it used to be my job. And it used to be something I shared, showed, promoted, and it absolutely wrecked me.
Mm.
It absolutely ruined me. So
Why? Why?
music, yeah,
Tell us a little bit more about that, because I hear this so often from couples where their special interest is their work. The IT person who is so entrenched in all things related to computers and electronics. The musician who, 24 hours a day is writing, playing, whatever. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like, how did it wreck your life or things?
well, it's a simple principle.
Yeah,
All your eggs, your most fragile eggs, are in one basket.
yeah,
Okay. And it consumes you.
yeah.
It absolutely consumes you. So not only is it an important thing for you, an important way of regulating, of having a sense of belonging, of connecting with yourself and others, it's also a source of financial gain. And it's also a source of your self worth.
It's people outside of you saying you matter because you made this or
Because
you
you're,
did
yeah,
this
because
and it's good
you're
and I'll pay
good.
you for
Yes.
it.
Yeah. And so there's a value that you're allowing other people to make out of your work or to judge around what you do, you know. And if you're autistic, your special interest is unique. It's not always valued or understood. My artwork is really freaking weird. And they're 6 foot wide, tall drawings. Who is going to put this in their house? Right? And so I'm setting myself up, right, in a way for a big fall.
Mm.
And so here I struggle, struggle, struggle. I can't make it. I can't make it financially. I can't contribute. I'm not valued. I'm not making money out of it. Okay. My value isn't recognized as I believe it should be. And so, when my fall came, it was massive depression, suicidality, hopelessness, shame. There was nothing left. There was nothing left. And I had to refine, and this is what really helped me, another special interest that wasn't my job. And and that became cycling. And that had some double benefits to it because not only did it help me produce some good chemicals in my body, it helped me feel stronger. It created connection with others, but it was something I could turn to that didn't have it wasn't fraught with all of that pressure and all of that internal value for myself that and so and then of course it can consume you in ways that again that's the only thing you do, like when it's connected to your identity and your self-worth, all you do is focus. This has to work. And
Mm.
I could not move. I could not get the focus lens out further. This was me. This is what I was supposed to do. This is why God put me on the planet. And this is a huge talent clearly for me. Why am I made to suffer? Why
If
cannot?
people aren't, this is me now. And
Yes.
if they're not accepting this, they're rejecting me,
There you go.
even
Good.
though they really can't see me through a big 6-foot piece of art.
Yes.
Okay, you guys,
But I'm effectively putting that art out as me.
yeah,
Exactly.
I just had a light bulb moment. I just had a humongous light bulb moment. Greg, thank you. Scott, thank you. Because I remember my ex saying that he had helped all these other people in their businesses, but he had nobody to help him. He's a creative, but he ended up working in IT most of his career and helped other people make a lot of money and be successful. But his identity, his creative skills were never recognized. He was never ever able to make a living at it. And I remember depression, you know, I remember him feeling some challenges with his self-worth. Meanwhile, I'm thriving in my career. And now it just hit me. It just hit me. So thank you so much for answering my question and for sharing that, because I think a lot of couples are going to relate to this and understand it maybe better. I also think there's a financial aspect to special interests that can become very draining, right? So,
No
right,
doubt
and
about
and I
that.
I hear this often that the special interest is very costly. Whether it's putting a gym in the house or in the garage and you're buying all the best equipment, or you're a musician and you're buying, but there's no money coming in. And I saw that in my marriage, and now I understand it more just now in this conversation. Wow.
I'm reminded of two acronyms that Greg, maybe you heard of, or Mona, you heard your ex mention. And I'm thinking of exactly the person I want to send this clip to because I use both of those. The one, gear acquisition syndrome.
Never heard it. No.
Musicians often have this, or people who set
Okay.
up a home studio. It's
Okay.
like, I want to record a song, but honestly, this is not the best. I need a better mic. And to make the best out of the mic, I need a better cable too. But now my audio interface is looking old. It's like the old thing of you put a new throw pillow on the couch and now you have to redo the whole living room. It's a
Okay.
chain of things.
Got it.
Yak shaving is the other thing I'm looking for. It's like I want to paint, but I need to find the right brush first. And then I do some research and I find the best over a span of months. I find the best brushes are made from yak hair. So what you said you were painting, what are you doing? Oh, I'm shaving my yak. I'm shaving my yak because I have to in preparation. I can't make it happen.
So I bought a yak to
Yeah.
make a brush.
That's
Okay,
right.
I
Because
gotcha.
because I've done the research and it's
It's
necessary. Why do we have a yak in the backyard? Because I'm a painter you don't see. So
okay.
I have spent thousands or tens of thousands on gear that is ostensibly for creative purposes, but it never gets used for creativity. It always gets, if it does get used, it gets used because I had to use it for something somebody else needed. So curating a thing is a nice autistic experience. Curating your collection of tools, brushes, canvases. That's part of what we love doing. We like knowing what we're working with and picking our things. Greg, did you have any secret after your first special interest sort of turned on itself there with the art? Did you make an effort? You say you protect your special interests now. Do you actively keep people out of them? Like, is there something your spouse would like? Greg, why are you so quiet about that collection of things you got from Japan? Why aren't you telling me about that? Like, is there room for that in a relationship, for a special interest that is like, you know what? I need this to be for me. As much as I love you, for my sake, I can't let you into this. And then how does the partner handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't done it intentionally, but I've done it out of an adaptation to that experience. So music became the ways that I more deeply connect to myself emotionally and my internal world. if I can't risk the corruption of that again from someone else's evaluation. But every once in a while, I will say, "Hey, I'm getting better at singing, aren't I?" And and so this is what my wife says. It's like, you ask a question of certainty and then you undercut it immediately. Both together. You're like, I'm getting good at singing. And you're like, aren't I? Is that, and why is that? Because I can't see myself. I literally cannot see myself. I can record myself and still be like, I don't think that's what actually happened. I know it's an objective recording, but that's not what my experience was. And part of my internal world is so rich and so part of the expression that it distorts my experience and objectivity.
Oh my gosh.
I was singing last night, Greg. I was singing a Belinda Carlisle. I was singing the Go-Go's, We Got the Beat. And as soon as the song started, I'm like, this song's way too high. I can't do this. But I did it anyway. And through the first verse and first chorus, all I could think of was, there's got to be a guide track on this, because that can't be my voice. This sounds too good. Whereas 2 songs later, I'm like, I can't hear what melody I'm trying to sing. I feel like I'm aiming at 5 different notes and none of them are coming out. Like, sometimes you need somebody to go, I think I'm all right. But can you just check?
Okay. So you guys, I'm going to pause you there because I'm going to come in as the ex-wife of somebody who did this stuff all the time, and now I understand it. Oh my gosh. Okay. My ex-husband worked on a short. He did everything. He could not let anybody into his world, right? He was the actor. He was the songwriter, the musician, the editor, the film, everything, right? He did everything. And years later, he was coming back to it to tweak it. And I'm like, this is done. Just like put it aside and maybe work on another project. But no, it was like, it just took over, I think, his brain, his world, his whatever. And I could never understand it. Now I'm getting some understanding from you guys. But here's the challenge. And you guys already know this because I'm sure you've experienced it in your relationships. We think you're a little bit crazy. Okay. We absolutely think you're a little bit crazy. And we don't understand why you can't disconnect and let go, because it has become an obsession and we don't get it. And where it becomes very, very unhealthy is when the obsession leads, like you said, Scott, to spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. You and your partner may have to claim bankruptcy because there is no stopping when you've bought 10 yaks and they're in your backyard because you couldn't get enough fur from the one yak to make.
I'm a yak farmer now, Lois.
I mean, seriously, you guys, we are laughing, but it has been the downfall of many a relationship. And now I think about my father and my mother. He would spend, and God bless, God rest your soul, Dad. He's been gone since 2005. He collected casino chips. He collected Hard Rock pins. He collected stamps, and then so many other things. He collected beer cans. They were all his special interests. And guess who has them all now?
You.
Me and my
the recycler?
sister. And he the ones that, one day I'm going to pass on to my daughter because they're worth something. We have them. Okay. He just collected and focused on the special interests, went deep, went broad, went all over with them. And then when he was ready to move on to the next one, he did. I think he was ADHD, like you, Scott. And my mother was like, oh my gosh, you're spending all this money on these things and you're not going to ever do anything with them. And this is where I think it's going to also hit with some of our listeners. And my dad was self-employed. He was a psychologist, and he never paid his estimated taxes throughout the year. So at the end of the year, my mother had a little savings account. He would ask my mother for her money in her savings account to pay his taxes, when all that money that he had spent on all these friggin' special interests could have easily paid his taxes. And this was a fight literally every year between my parents right before tax season. I swear. I can't tell you how many years it went on. So yes, Scott, you're looking at me like, wow, I know. So these
No,
are
but
things.
all of this makes sense, though. All of
Yes.
this makes sense because it didn't make sense at the time.
Right.
This is all of this keeps coming back to this would have been different if we'd known.
100%.
And now we know, and that's why we want people to come on the channel and know too, so they can avoid the expense and torment of handling all this without knowing why it's happening or how other people handle it without blowing up their marriage.
Exactly. And there's another one that comes up, not as often, but it's when the special interest becomes somebody at work or somebody they
yes.
met on an online forum. And, I've heard about it with the men primarily, and it looks to their female or male partner that they're in a long-term relationship with that they're cheating. And they might be, but not see it as cheating because they're going out to dinner, they're going out to lunch, they're having emotional conversations about the special interest. And then the partner finds out and they're like, what the hell? I've had several couples where this has happened and the relationship ended because the special interest of another person, usually of the opposite sex, but if the person was queer, it could be of the same sex, turned into much more than just a friendship around a special interest. And it may not
doesn't
have
even
been
have to have a sexual flavor to it.
Right, it doesn't. But it's an emotional.
I just might meet some guy at work who's like the first. It might feel like this was the first person who's ever really understood me, and that I'm like, oh, I want to know everything about them, and I want them to know everything about me because opportunities like this doesn't even have to be romantic or sexual. These kind of connections don't happen very often, and I don't want this one to get away. That's how it feels with me. Is like, oh my God, I never thought I could be this connected to somebody and be this interested. This never happens to me.
And then
this
how
is
do
my
you think your
last
partner
chance.
would feel?
And then how ashamed am I knowing that I feel that, knowing that I love my partner, knowing that I care about my partner, knowing that my partner's sensitive to me having a wandering eye. And I'm like, what the hell? This doesn't. So it's not a comfortable experience. It's not comfortable.
For either partner.
And nobody, and probably the person I'm crushing on either.
Right. And that's why it's so important to have somebody like a coach or a therapist to talk this through, because what it looks like is not necessarily what it is. It may feel like an emotional affair, but it's not. It's exactly what you're talking. Well, not always, but it's exactly what you're talking about, Scott. I feel heard. I feel validated. I feel seen. I feel like I have something in common with this person. They really want to hear what I have to say. And maybe things aren't quite that way at home or with your current partner. And it gets carried away. And there's sometimes the end of the relationship. Greg, have you ever seen that?
I've definitely seen the issue around finances and collections and hoarding. And yes, I've had couples that I've worked with that have spoke and been upset about what they see as emotional infidelity. Mm-hmm. And I think what this emphasizes is that this is an emotional issue. It's about emotional regulation and connection. And that's why you have to work on those things in order to get this in a more healthy place, and so things, which again, a lot of autistics like, and we collect, for instance, I have too many disc golf discs. It's not taking up a whole closet or anything like that, but I will even at times when I'm feeling just a little restless, I'll go to my bag of discs, or I'll go to my disc and I'll just go through them and clean them and reorganize them. And I'm like, ooh, this feels good. So you have to think about that the special interest, when it becomes a surrogate and a crutch and the only thing for your ability to regulate your emotions and feel good, okay, you're in danger. And you're in danger of not only of that carrying itself too far, but also looking for other places to fill those gaps. And sometimes those can be people. Now, where I really see this problem of fusion and what Scott had brought up earlier about limerence, right? I see this with young people all the time, young neurodivergents. When they find somebody that's their tribe, they become one. And it then it's totally fraught with disaster, and it almost always falls apart in a complete absolute drama mess, right? And so again, that inability to have that balance, or to kind of have that perspective, or to move out of that thing you're focused on with some perspective, is part of this. And again, if you don't have a variety of skills and a diversity of places to regulate your emotions with yourself, with your partner, with your things, in a way that doesn't consume you, doesn't fuse you with those things, doesn't overtake your life, then we're okay. But the problem is that we think in black and white, and it's all or nothing. And as Scott said, suddenly we have this match, and how badly have we wanted to feel this, right? Which is, we belong. Okay. And that's the cues we're getting. So as a therapist, I'm like, the thing will not replace your emotions. You will continue to get more things in order to try to fill in the gap. At what point do you have to look inside and say, what do I need to attend to? So I think it's about those issues, and things, right, are safe compared to people, right? I can have an emotional connection with a thing, and it's all me, and it's all whatever I bring to that thing. It's not something I have to negotiate like an organic emotional relationship, which is so much more fraught with difficulty and misunderstanding and all the things, that are difficult to read for us.
And I know how to
100%.
take care of my things and maintain them and clean them. And there are other people, and their advice works. It's not like somebody says, you should say this to your wife, and that doesn't work. If somebody says, clean your tape machine with this kind of Q-tip and this kind of alcohol, I'll try it and it'll work and it'll be better and I'll feel connected and wiser. If I go to my wife and say, I just bought a $6 bottle of alcohol and an $8 box of Q-tips so I can clean the tape heads, and she'd like, sure, why is your underwear on the floor?
Yeah.
When you when we talk about putting everything all in one basket, Greg and Mona, the danger of that is it feels so good at the time to go pour it all in on this thing that feels so good.
Yeah.
But then you run the risk of the eggs in the basket situation of, say, this person, after a week of obsessing over them, turns to you and goes, you know what? You're really freaking me out. You're weird, and I want nothing to do with you. Yes. What's left of you? What's left? Do you go back to the life where you feel unconnected? Yeah. Or worse. Because I would think you go into a rapid series of ruminations that ends with you deciding that this isn't worth doing. You join a new social group. There's only one disc golf club, and you get so into disc golf that you go to disc golf 7 nights a week, and people rapidly get sick of you and all of your questions. Where does it go? If disc golf was your only thing, you're back to not having a thing again. So knowing how to moderate, and knowing how not to be too much, that's hard. Hard.
So one of the things that I literally always share with the non-autistic partners and couples is that I recommend they take their phone and they put the things on their phone that are going to now be part of their nervous system regulation toolbox. Okay. And it's easy, but it's difficult for some people. So if the only thing that's been regulating you is going to disc golf, that goes on there. But then what else? And maybe you have to look back to your childhood. You like to play board games. You enjoyed handball. You like to play basketball. But all those things got kind of left behind. Maybe you enjoy swinging at a park or, being on a rocking chair. I suggest at least 5, if not more, things in your toolbox. And then when you feel dysregulated or your special interest is creating some challenges because you're not able to transition or you're spending too much money or it's affecting your romantic relationship or your relationship with your kids, whatever, you've got all these other things that you can use to regulate your nervous system so your eggs aren't in just one basket. And then also, so many of us, I did this during my separation and even before our separation, I was dependent on alcohol. I was drinking a lot more and eating a lot of shit, the carbs and the sugar, mostly the sugar is what I went to. Those are not healthy. They're not
Right.
healthy for us, but we go to them when we're being told, or our partners do when they're being told, oh, you can't spend 20 hours working on that car that you've had in the garage for 18 years that you keep saying is going to be worth $100,000 one day, whatever. So how do you move from one thing that is all your eggs in one basket to maybe spreading it out a little bit? How do you have healthy special interests and passions that some you can share with your partner, some you share with others? And how do you expand your nervous system regulation toolbox? Those are just some things to think about, right?
And one way
Absolutely.
I've approached tackling that is if I have a special interest that is drifting into a territory that I don't want it to go to, taking up too much time or getting into stuff that I'd be ashamed for people to find out. Um, Taking a close look at what am I getting out of this special interest? What needs am I getting met and how? Am I
Yes.
enjoying this one because it's all for me and not for anybody else? Am I enjoying this because I'm an expert in it and I like connecting with people who aren't? Whatever my benefits are, note them. And then look
Perfect.
at other things that aren't going to meet all of them, because those things that meet so many needs at once are really special. And that's one reason why they're very attractive, because they're overpowered in that way. But if I can find the expert thing by going on Reddit instead of having to buy a new piece of gear, if I can find the expression part or the all by myself thing by doing something else, but by myself, to get those needs met, it's kind to me, it's like if we have a favorite food and that favorite food does not carry all the nutrition we need to live, then just eating that food is going to leave us very vulnerable, especially if that food gets taken off the market for making people sick.
I love that. Another great analogy, Scott. I
So
love that.
so eating a variety of foods that each may have do you like crunchy foods? There's lots of crunchy foods. They're not all going to be the best crunchy food that you love, but we can find out. You know, fi-
Yeah.
you need to get more things in your life to have more opportunities for you to grow and learn and find new things, and because you don't want to burn out that special interest. You don't want it to turn on you. um
And you
so
want to
if
maintain your relationship with your partner.
That's so
No,
important too, because
you really do. You really
they
do, right?
they're the ones who are like, I would I would trade a lot of this gear for love, you know. I would trade a lot of these machines for understanding. And I guess at some psychological level, they're a substitute, because I
Mhm.
understand them. They don't know a damn thing, but
Very
Yeah.
important.
people,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly right. Exactly right. I think, and that's part of what I really appreciate about this discussion is getting to the whys,
Mhm.
because I think sometimes we're so in it and we're just doing something that works for us and we're so enamored by that. And that's all the further it goes. But if you really want to go deeper, you need to know what is it that it's doing for you, and also why might that connect to autistic traits, for instance. So I know I love spinning things. If you look at my artwork, you'll see a ton of circles, concentric circles, movement and dynamics. Oh, that's why I love disc golf and cycling too. That makes sense, right?
Totally.
It,
Yeah.
it it's this state of flow. It's this dynamic. It's this interaction between the air and the space and speed. And my brain loves dynamics. I love being able to tell what something is doing and how it flows and where it goes and stuff. but I also need to, and so that helps me know that, oh, I can go to some other interests that involve dynamics, and I think, yeah, knowing when it gets to the point of unhealthiness and being able to see that, being able to listen to the people around you. I have a client who is a gamer, and they were going to school in EA Sports too, and and guess what? They sort of flunked out, and so the mom's saying to me, "Hey, I'm worried about how much they're gaming," and so I asked the client, "Well, how much are you gaming? Are you gaming 10, 12 hours a day sometimes when you don't have anything else to do?" Yeah. I'm like, name one thing in the world you can do for 10 to 12 hours in a single day that's healthy. You couldn't practice piano and have 10 to 12 hours and have it be healthy for you. Why? Because you haven't peed, you haven't showered, you haven't ate, you haven't attended to the people in your life, you haven't cleaned up, you haven't, right? There's nothing you can do. And so time is one of those factors that you may check that box on. Money is another factor. When are those numbers out of control?
Yep.
And this is one way I've sort of protected things for myself, which is I don't let things get out of hand. I had one guitar for 35 years. Now I have 5 now in the last year, but that's more complicated.
There's a reason for everyone. I trust you.
Yeah.
That's just happened, and it's just a bunch of confluence of things that. But it hasn't got out of hand, and it hasn't. And same thing with my disc golf, But also, I don't race my bike, and I don't play tournaments because the risk to my self-worth, the hit to me, right? So again, and I also don't jam with people because it scares the shit out of me. I know I'm good. I know I could, and I have. But am I going to do that? No, that is so dangerous. So you do have to have your finger on the pulse of this because it's not a black and white thing, and it's such a powerful and good thing for so many autistics. We don't let this become the negative. Don't let your strength become your weakness, right?
Yeah, it's so important.
So now that we've seen the value of special interests to the people who have them, and I think the non-autistic partner can appreciate that if they've gotten this far into the program. How do we support that? Do we say, listen, I know this is important to you. Do you seem a little on edge. Do you want to go do your thing? Or, we're going to put this in the family budget because this is cheaper than therapy and cheaper than drugs.
Oh, yeah.
So if we support your special interest, and support can look like anything from like a line in the budget saying this is your money for wheels, spokes, tires, or just a time thing, or I will drive you to the hobby shop so you can buy things for your hobby. How does somebody make this more okay in their relationship?
I think you just said it, Scott. I think what you just said gives space for, and I don't know if Greg feels differently, it gives space for the special interest to be supported by both partners and for there to be transparency about how that's going to happen. Because I also can tell you there are a lot of couples where the trust issue gets thrown out the door because they're spending on a credit card that the partner doesn't even know about it and possibly having to claim bankruptcy because there's $20,000 in debt that they're never going to be able to pay. They've been hiding those things in a closet, and so the partner never even knew that they existed. They can't stop.
Yep.
Transparency. And if trust is broken, working together or with somebody else to rebuild it and have some specific agreements that you both feel comfortable with. If you have young children, spending 10, 12, 15 hours on your special interests on Saturday and Sunday, your only 2 days off work, are going to make your partner very, very, very angry and lonely. Just saying.
Yeah. So this is really important to, I can tell you about my experience with my wife, So number one, if your special interest becomes a point of shame for you and your partner is shamed you about it, okay, you're in trouble. Okay, you
Mm.
both are in trouble. So again, understand the importance of what a special interest is to an autistic system. So secondly, my wife and bless her heart, and it makes a match. And I think this is tends to be a match for the right ADHD system, the ADHD autistic match that I talk about a lot. She needs downtime too. And so she encourages me to go ride my bike. When I am stressed out, she wants to coordinate with me about going for a bike ride or playing disc golf or doing something musical. She encourages that. It also gets me out of the house and gives her space too, you know. So it's something that can work as an advantage for both of you because we really a healthy relationship should involve some independent sorts of aspects of your life. It can't be all overlapped and meshed. It's too dangerous, you know. You
Yep.
can have your friends that you go out with, they can have their friends or things that they do, and we need to give each other that space. That's safety and space in a relationship, which Mona and I have talked about plenty, is critical to safety, you know, so it can be an important thing. So how do you do that? How do you understand its value and how do you encourage that? And one thing my wife did when I was super depressed is she supported my cycling. She was like, he needs something. I know he does. And right now he has nothing. He is
Mm.
on the dirt floor. He has hit rock bottom. And that feels amazing that I have somebody that knows my system well enough that can support it, you know, and I have to honor that too, meaning it becomes reciprocal, meaning I have to recognize, you know, when it is the surrogate or the only thing or the thing that gets in the way of our connection, you know. And my wife cycles with me, not as fast as I want to, not in the ways that I do, but we definitely do that. We also disc golf together, usually once a week, maybe once every so, and I play music for her too. She knows she is part of them, you know, and so they're part of our world, you know, and they're part of the way we take care of each other.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I've heard this from couples too. When the non-autistic partner wants to get involved in the autistic or ADHD partner's special interests, some folks have pushed their partners away. And so if you don't want your partner involved in your special interest, they need to understand why and make it as the statement or conversation as kind as and loving as it possibly can be, rather than, like Greg, if you said to Michelle, "You are such a slow biker. I don't ever want to bike with you again," she'd probably be pretty pissed.
Yep.
So remembering that, this is somebody you love, this is your teammate, this is your partner, and they need to understand why you might not want them involved in your special interest. Yeah.
And why are you overprotecting it?
Yeah.
Right. So what's there for you, you
Yeah.
know? And then, you know, also what's in the relationship that also makes you want to do that too, you know? So yeah, it's a little trailhead to go down to for sure.
Yeah. And you may need some help, from a coach or a therapist to have that conversation. So this has been a phenomenal conversation. Do you guys have anything else? I think I'm done with my sharing, but do you guys have anything else?
I I wish I had understood like so many things to do with the autistic experience. I wish I had known all of this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because in times when I wanted to share my special interest with a partner and it went over like a lead balloon, or what I wanted to share was received as offensive or a threat, even.
Yep.
I don't mean like I was, danger threat, but like, why did you do that? And I'm
Right.
like, because I wanted to share something I love. Um,
Yeah.
but on the upside, even the same people, like there was a time when our son had just been born. My wife was going through cancer treatment. The world was falling apart. My house was full of guests, and my wife said, "You need to go downstairs and edit some videos." Like, because that was the only thing I had that was for me, is to go to, I was producing a TV show, And even though it was work, it was still my work. It was creative. I was doing something. It was my sanctuary to get away from all the present time danger and just sit in this little box and make things. So I've seen the upside and downside. I'm grateful that we all got to bring so much to the table today, because there's lots of books about autism and how to live and stuff, but it's the interrelated dynamic between people that we talk about here that I think is missing from a lot of those stories, because it's two people and we're talking both sides here, and I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, it was a good discussion. Really good.
Great discussion, guys. Appreciate you.
Hey, Greg, why don't you wrap up the show?
Thank you, Scott. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Again, like, subscribe, leave a comment. We'd love to hear your experience around special interest too. I want to thank my guests, Mona K, Scott Simpson, for being here. And we'll see you next time on Neurodivergent Connections.